Hello all, Jamie Rodgers here from Craftmania, and today I am back to introduce you to this week's die of the week. Now this week we are looking at Sue Wilson's striplet die. This is the stacked diamond die set, and in here we have two different dies. We have the outside die and then we have the insert filigree panel. Given them two pieces, there are so many ways in which we can use these. We can cut them out and layer them, we can cut just the backing part and have a colour behind them, we can cut them and leave them in our cardstock. There's lots of tricks we can do with this, and I just so happen to have a few cards I'm going to take you through to show you how I've been using this and give you some inspiration. But with our die of the week, we like to bring this to you on a special offer price. So this week your die should be £14.50. That's its recommended retail price, but our offer price is just £6.50. Now that also includes free UK P&P, because any time you spend over £5 with us at Craftmania, your P&P is completely covered for UK customers. If you're watching this from abroad and you would like to order this die or any of the products you can find at Craftmania, then of course we ship everything worldwide and it is capped at just £10. If you'd like to know more about how our shipping and handling works, pop onto the website and have a little look under the customer service tab. If you'd like to order this die, go onto the website, find the little symbol that says YouTube, you'll find it on the home page or you'll find it on the menu bar, and it will take you through to a page full of little boxes, and we put on a little box or a little page link for every single video that we do on YouTube. You'll see the die of the week and you'll see the picture of the die. Click that and it will take you through to be able to order this die. And also when we get on to looking at the cards, all of the bits that I've used on the cards I will put onto that page for you. So if you would like to go and order any of the accompanying pieces I've used, you'll know where to find them. Now of course our website is www.craftmaniacrafts.com. So let's, with no further ado, dive in and have a little look at the cards I've created to hopefully give you a bit of inspiration with this die. So let's take a look at the actual die then. So with this set we have two different dies. Now we've got your outside edge, so of course that means that your filigree panel will fit within the middle of the outside edge, but it also means that it's a separate edge. Now this is great because that means that we can cut this as an aperture on our card if we would like to, and actually have that opening piece. It also means that we can use this to cut out different colours. So maybe once you've nested these together and cut a panel, the white in this instance shining through from underneath, we could replace that with just a single cut out of this panel in another colour, and that's the colour then that will shine through all the apertures in your fretwork die. So it just gives you a few options on how you can cut and layer, and how of course it also means you can leave this in your card as well. So whether you'd like to tile cut or just do a single strip, you can actually leave that in your card as an aperture, and that really opens up a whole new world of possibilities. So there are your two components to work with within this striplet die set. Now let's show you some cards I've made to give you some ideas. So this is my first one I wanted to share with you. Now this is literally where I have taken that die, and as you can see I've left out the outside edge and I've just cut it and I've moved it around and placed it on my card as we go down the panel. You'll notice that the point in the middle is slightly larger than the points to the edges. So where I've started off with it on the top there, I've then nested in the twos either side of it and then gone back to the main middle when I can do. So it's just about playing and creating. But once I'd cut that into my panel, I then trimmed down the edges. I placed it onto a self-adhesive sheet, and I've put through some of our mica minerals, which are really cool, like pearlescent chunks of mica that give you that really gorgeous glimmer that's shining through under the fretwork. I've then brought in some of our dies and placed these on here. You'll notice some of these from our recent showcases and our bundles. We've also got a little sentiment down there as well, just to finish that off, all toned together with the coconut white card, the pearl gold card, and then set off against the black. I also really love these little pearls. You'll see these sneak in on quite a lot of my creations, and I always think they look gorgeous as the middles of flowers. They come in a couple of different colours, so again I'll put them on that page I mentioned on the website so you can see those, along with all of the other bits we were talking about and looking at here. Now this die is also really good for threading or weaving. I don't really know how quite to describe it, sort of under and overlapping really, and you can possibly see it on these two best. So you can see here this die to the right is on the top, then it goes underneath that diamond, back on top for this one, underneath for that one, and on top for this one, and I've mirrored that going down this side. So it actually turns our panel into a larger background, which is quite a fun way to use it, and again could be done to any size that you wanted to. You don't have to do it like this, obviously, and I'll show you some different ideas shortly that where I've stacked them instead, but I thought that was quite a fun idea. I've used coconut white card for my die cuts. I've used some blue pearl card underneath. Again, I've brought in our lovely flowers and leaves from one of our recent bundles and added on just a little butterfly up here as well. In the background, I've done my scoring on a scoreboard, and I've started to do this as a bit of a different style. I've always done scored backgrounds on every single line, but it hit me the other day. I know I was a little bit slow to think of this, but how about if you actually did a pinstripe effect by skipping a line every now and again? So I've scored at 0.5 centimetre, 1 centimetre, missed the 1.5, gone back in for the 2 and the 2.5, skipped the 3 and carried on doing so. So you've got this sort of train track style pinstripe, which just gives that a bit of a fresher twist to what I would normally do. We're doing every line. Then moving on, we'll bring in this one here. Let's get it the right way, that'll help. So with this one again, I've just used an embossing folder in the background. I've brought on that panel, I've layered it and cut it in white. I've added on just a 3D die cut decoupage sheet, just as a little focal point on here. Added on the get well soon, and then I've matched in the colours from the flowers with the colours of the card underneath. I set this off on some grey card because I felt it was a little less harsh than the black, and the grey matched in slightly better with the bluebells and the blues going on in the tones. So it was, instead of introducing another shade as such of a blue or a green, it was a subtle, more sort of modern colour maybe. And I've also added in the get well soon to complement that layer at the bottom there. So the grey's there for a reason. Then moving on, now this is probably one of my favourite and probably easiest cards to create. This one was so super to do. All it is 3 cuts in coconut white, and then the backing plates just using that outside edge cut in teal cardstock, layered underneath. I've double stacked my foam tape under the middle one and single under the bottom ones, and then just threaded them together, adding little gems in between the points. Ever so simple to do, could be done for just about any occasion. You could add poinsettias on here for Christmas, you could do it and add baby elements on there for a christening. It could be the background to just about every card you ever have to make again if you wanted it to be. Teamed in with some gold card just to match in with the gems, and of course the gold pearlescence thank you on the little sentiment tab as well. So very easy, very quick, very simple, but hopefully you'll agree quite elegant card. Now, one of the bits I love about being able to cut and leave this die in cardstock is that you can cut it into your shaped dies. So this is one of my noble dies that I've got here done by Sue Wilson, and I've literally just taken this and I've laid it on the inside and cut that through so that I've got that fretwork panel, but I've still got the solid sort of layer as such around it. I've then cut the same layer out of blue card and put that underneath so that the blue shows through and you see the blue all the way around the edges if you want that sort of little shadow effect that can create. I've bought in the same blue for the Just For You, and I've also used it on my flowers as well. Again, we've got some lovely flowers here, and we've got that beautiful wreath that was on our Sizex bundle not that long ago. And you'll also notice that same pinstripe embossing in the background that I was talking about, where I sort of skipped a line too. It's funny when I come up with these ideas, that's it. From there on in, that's all I want to do. And on this day, we ended up with quite a little bit of that going on. Moving on to my next one. So this, I mentioned that the square in the middle, or diamond, depending on how you're looking at it, is slightly larger. So with this one, instead of moving it over like I did with one of the first cards I shared with you, instead I literally just matched it to the point and carried on cutting this going down the card. I've then put a self-adhesive sheet underneath that, some pink card under the self-adhesive sheet, and sprinkled glitter through the top. So where it was sticky, we've got that glittery effect. And it's the same shade of card as it's been used at the bottom here. But I quite like how the glitter subdues the card slightly, so we end up with different shades slightly, and they match in with the different shades that are coming through in our flowers. So I thought that was quite a nice way to tone it all together. Then added a little ribbon on here, a few pearls and a couple of oval layers, just because if I layered the flowers straight onto this, they got a little bit lost. So them ovals really broke it out and elevated that panel slightly so that there was more point to them. You can add a little sentiment on here as well if you wanted to, maybe bringing that pink from the back to the front, but I didn't think it needed it, so I left it off for this one. On to my last card to share with you. So this one is actually the first card, and this is worth mentioning. I share these cards every day throughout the week at 2 p.m. on my Facebook page, which is Jamie Rodgers Crafts. So if you would like to see the images and you want to the point shopping list, because it's all linked in the actual post, you can have a little look at those as they appear 2 p.m. every single day, and that starts on Monday, ends on Sunday, and then the video for the week drops on a Wednesday on our YouTube channel. So some of these have already been posted, the others are yet to come up. But this was our very first one, and I wanted to show you how simple and easy you could use this die to create lovely effects. So on my top panel, again, you may notice this is in a pierced rectangle. So I've taken the pierced rectangle, I've used just this element to cut out the top layer. I've taken the same pierced rectangle and this panel, cut that into the one below, and then just foam padded onto black card. So we've got 3 layers, all padded up, giving that depth. With this top panel, I didn't want it to be too simple. So once I'd cut it, I then embossed it, or scored it, sorry, I should say. So I scored every line. A little tip here, if you're gonna do this and you've already cut your aperture and you wanna cut your aperture first, because if you was to score and then cut, your pressure's gonna squish your score lines. They're not really gonna show up. But obviously going over these bits can be tricky with a score tool, especially when we're looking at the points on the end here. I did every ½ centimetre, you could do every ½ inch, and you might not end up quite so close to the points. But if you do, put a piece of paper over the top of the panel you're scoring. Your score tool will glide over the top then, and it's not going to keep catching these pieces, but your impression from your score tool on your scoreboard will still be as deep. So scoreboard, panel with the aperture in, piece of white paper, score over the top, and that'll stop you getting caught in the middle bits. Hopefully that's a little tip that might help you. But that completes all of our cards for this week's Die of the Week. So I'll just give you a little flash of these as we go through it again. So if you'd like to get your Die of the Week, pop on to www.craftmaniacrafts.com, have a little look for the YouTube page, and you will find the relevant page linked in there, taking you to all of these goodies, including your Die of the Week. The Die of the Week, of course, is meant to be £14.50, but is reduced to just £6.50. If you've got any questions, let me know in the comments and I'll do my very best to answer them for you. Thank you very much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you all again very soon. Bye for now.